investment comes with risk, and that's part of what we're learning in these 7 days, how to manage that risk. 73% of doctors and healthcare professionals that don't invest, the biggest challenge they say is that they see investment as risky. Being able to invest means you can actually take advantage of the pension options and invest by yourself through a SIP.
I hope it's something that you will talk about. If one is over 40, what are the options for the ISA?
So if you're above 40, you can have a cash ISA. That's one of the types of ISA. And why the ISAs? They are more tax efficient. One of the mistakes people make is they just put money in the stock and shares ISA, but they don't invest it. Right, okay. So I'm looking at the chart. What one word would you say? Someone said art. I love that. Daniel Odezi said art. So it's an art, not just science. Eno said security. Okay. And Seb said planning. And Ife said future. Raymond said that. But this is overwhelming positive. You know, the last session, masterclass, if you it's actually on YouTube now. Some people said things like nervous, fear, and then someone said excited. So at least there was that one. Okay. I think we can kick off now. If anyone is joining now, hopefully, well, we can still get them along. How many of us got the email I sent today? If you got the email about the exercise for today, did anyone get it? No. Okay, you got it. Excellent. Okay, if I got it as well. Okay, and so far, if you went through the list of 7, yeah, what did you find?
I haven't gone through it because I was at work.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Not yet.
Fair enough. We'll go through it as well. Okay. So has anyone gone through it at all? Do you have like yeah, okay, Ina wants to go. Yeah, go Ina. I saw what you shared in the group. Yeah. Go. What did you find?
Yeah, thanks. Good evening. I went through it. I think it was just number 1 and the last one that I could say I could tick off fully. For number 2, yeah, I mean, when you say know your numbers, if it means know how much I'm owing or know how much I'm earning,
Yeah.
know how much I have in my account now, I know that. But there are other numbers that I'm convinced that I need to know about and that I don't know. Like, for example, things like that were discussed this evening, like SIPP,
Yeah.
those are numbers that exactly. And then things like ISA, I've heard those things, but I don't have any clue about how to work them.
Yeah.
Or things like tax return, so those are numbers that I have no idea about. So I'm sure
Fair
there's
enough.
some information. Yeah, thanks.
Fair
Bye.
enough. Well done. Well done. These are some of the things we're going to be addressing in the session. Yeah, well done. 7. There are 7 steps to take before you even start thinking of investing as a doctor or healthcare professional. Now, this is really important to secure your financial foundation before you start investing. Now, I've covered these 7 steps in a simple guide that I've made available for you in the link in the description. You can download it. It will help you to build a solid financial foundation, avoid common investing mistakes, and also make tax-efficient investment decisions. Start your investment journey the smart way. Download the guide now using the link in the description. And good luck on your investing journey. Now let's get right back to the episode. Right, does anyone else, have you looked at the numbers? Is there something else you want to share before we delve in? Yeah, has anyone looked at the 7 things or you kind of like have that framework? Yeah, please go. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I looked at the 7.
Yes.
I would say I'm doing 1, so I could tick 1. I'm not even sure what a personal financial audit is. So
okay, I like that. That will be where we'll start. Okay.
Yes, please. I would appreciate that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I ticked 7.
Number 3 and number 7. Okay. Well, at least it's not 0. You've done 1 or 2 there. That was the most important thing. Because once you've done 1 or 2, then oh, this is what I need to do next, basically. And then some of people from our last year masterclass, they they just started investing now. They did the master class in September, but they started investing now because they needed to tick all those boxes. Why? Because we wanted to make sure that before you start investing, you want to sort of like have the basic foundation and so that you're safe. That way, even if the market is rocking or is shaking or the market is crashing, you're not sort of taking emotional decisions because you've laid the foundation. So thank you for that, Dr. Peace. Right. Anyone more, just one more person and then we can dive in. Does someone else want to share if they looked at the list? Daniel, yes, Daniel, please go for it.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Yeah, so
Daniel.
I've run through the list and I could tick off some of them, but for some of them, I can only tick half. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm very, very financially literate. So the number one, I'm making efforts, but I don't think I'm there yet.
Right.
Number two, well, I think I know my numbers fairly well.
Yes.
I have a fair idea of how much is coming in and how the funds are leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasting money like subscriptions that I don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that quite recently. I think I've got an emergency fund in place, but I have just life. What's it called now? I've not sorted income protection yet. I've only got a life insurance policy. Then yeah, I don't think I have any debts at the moment. I can't say I understand SIPPs and tax benefits a lot, but I have a fair, I'll say almost a beginner's knowledge of ISAs, which I'm trying to explore. And yeah, I've sought professional guidance a couple of times. And of course, it's part of that effort. That's why I'm here trying to learn from the boss himself.
Well, I'm not a boss, but thank you so much for sharing. And congrats, Daniel. Daniel has joined the Royal College of GPs.
Thank you, boss.
I met him in Swansea. I met him in Swansea last weekend. Yeah, fantastic. Congrats. Yeah, thank you. That's really quite good. It's quite insightful. ISAs, SIP, and all of that is all part of it. We're all going to deal with them. We're going to go in depth. It's really very much more important now, especially with the tax year coming to an end by April 5. But before we crack on, I thought, okay, you might have been hearing fragments. So you're hearing different things. You hear people mention ISAs, you mention SIP, you mention different things. I think it's most importantly, we need to understand, why do you even need to bother investing? Obviously, if you're in Canada, I'm having a lot of doctors from Canada, and last time I was in the US, I had doctors from the US speaking to me about investing. So for them, it's obvious. But for you in the UK, like, why the bother? Because some people think, well, I've got NHS pension. If I've got NHS pension and there's the state pension, shouldn't that be enough? Shouldn't that take care of everything? So it's becoming more and more obvious to more people with inflation rising and everything. And more people are trying to have alternatives in terms of understanding their own financial future, making a financial plan. And even if you turn out to have NHS pension, which is a great pension, it's basically a salary for life. But some people just don't want a bit of control. They want to be able to control how they invest. And again, for senior doctors here, or even any doctor in above 100,000, you know about the 60% tax trap. I've been writing about it for a couple of years now. So being able to invest means you can actually take advantage of the pension options and invest by yourself through a SIP. And even if you don't use a SIP, knowing how to invest means you can use the ISAs and not make sort of the kind of expensive mistakes a lot of doctors make, like investing outside the ISAs. But also in the next 7 days, we're going to look at it like risk management, understanding asset allocation and all that, understanding basically, okay, if you want to invest, how do you start? Where do you go? And we're definitely towards the last day, we're going to do like hands-on session. Obviously, some of you who want to skip along can also do hands-on session. If you want to open an account and invest your first dollar, your first $100, whatever you want to do. And of course, there's going to be opportunity like this for Q&As. We're not going to be meeting for Q&As all the 7 days, but all the 7 days, I'm going to send you the step-by-step what to do, and then we'll chat on the WhatsApp group. So if you're not on the WhatsApp group, you want to join the WhatsApp group. But midway, I think by Friday, we'll catch up again for a webinar like this so that we can ask questions. Right. Before I go into the 7 things, does anyone want to ask a question at this point?
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good
Again.
evening, please.
Yeah, so okay, I know you said you're going to talk about things like the ISA, but I just wanted to find out something about uh age, like that. I think it's something called the lifetime ISA
Yes.
and the something about age, the age at which you can do it.
Yeah, okay.
So for people that are over 40, I hope it's something that you will talk about. And
Yeah.
if one is over 40, what are the options for the ISA? And then one last thing is, I also heard something like a friend was telling me that okay, my first child is turning 18 this year, and
Yes.
if was telling me that I can get my child to pay me rent and it help my child invest that money. So I know that this is not about kids, so I just wonder if you can also touch on that
Yes,
when you
okay.
start talking.
Fair enough. Yeah, we can smash that out now and then we'll jump into the rest. So basically, with ISAs, I have a lot of people who say, I'm above 40 now, so I can't get an ISA. And I said, no, you can get all the ISAs apart from one if you're above 40. So probably some of you have seen my video on my blog where I will say, life does not start at 40. So lifetime ISA does not start at 40. So if you're above 40, the only ISA you can't get is the lifetime ISA. You can get the rest of the ISAs. So you can get the cash ISA, which is for saving. Obviously, I've already written about the risk of saving in a regular savings account. You're generating interest, which is likely going to be tax liable if you exceed the savings allowance. Okay. And we've already mentioned that this is not for that. This session is for investing. But we've already talked about that if you save in a regular savings account and you generate interest above the savings allowance in the UK, it's £500 if you're a higher rate taxpayer, and it's £1,000 if you are a basic rate taxpayer. So if you generate interest above that amount in your savings account, for people who think, oh, I'm just going to save money. If you put in a regular savings account, you generate interest, then you've got to declare it in your self-assessment and pay tax on it. If you don't do that, there may not be an issue straight away until in the future. Maybe if HMRC investigates or something comes up, then you probably will need to pay that same amount plus a penalty plus the interest on it. So that's why I will always suggest saving a cash ISA. So yes, if you're above 40, you can still, I'm approaching 40 now. So I basically need to double check what's happening with cash, have a life ISA and all that in place. So if you're above 40, you can have a cash ISA. That's one of the types of ISA. 2, you can have a stock and shares ISA, which is basically just for investing. But one of the mistakes people make is they just put money in the stock and shares ISA, but they don't invest it. Nothing is going to happen to the money. You've got to invest it, right? So you can have both of them. And why the ISAs? They are more tax efficient. Any dividends or capital gains. So when I mean capital gains, I mean when there's a rise in the value of the share, any capital gains is tax-free. Okay, so that's the benefit of the ISAs, right? Okay, I hope that sorts out the question.
Yes, but what about the one for my child?
Right. Okay, so
And the rent, and then yeah.
So I am not a rent expert, even though I collect rent. If you decide to invest the money for them, yeah, that could also be done through, if your child is less than 18 and you want to open an account for them, the junior ISA, which gives your child up to £9,000 tax-free, could be a place to start. But also some of the doctors in our mastermind, their children are above 18 years, so they open a proper lifetime ISA for their child, because with the lifetime ISA, the government gives you 25% bonus on whatever you save in the lifetime ISA. So that will be 2 ways to go about it. So it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with rent or no rent, because one, you could give your child, you could ask your child to pay rent and invest it for them, or you could give them the money to invest, or if they work and raise some money, they could invest it. It doesn't really necessarily matter how the money comes about. What's really important is that if it's being invested or saved, it goes through the right type of account to make sure that it's tax-free. Okay. Right. Okay. So I'm going to
I'm sorry, just the last thing. The 25%, is it per annum?
Yes.
On the
So
lifetime ISA.
okay. So is there someone else that doesn't understand the lifetime ISA so we can deal with it now before we crack on? The lifetime ISA. If you give me a thumbs up, if you don't understand it, then we know, okay, something that we need to deal with now. If not, we can pack it and come back to it. Yeah, because we've got 7 days. I want to keep to the program. Okay, so we've got Busayo and there's Ina, obviously. Okay. Right, okay. So quickly, what the lifetime ISA is one of the types of ISAs. So there are 4 types. I rarely talk about one because most people need to deal with the first 3 before they start dealing with the other one. The 4th one, which I rarely talk about, is the innovative finance ISA. It's basically more like a business financing ISA. So it's got more risk in it and it's not where most people start. So let's leave that by the side. The first 3 that I do talk about is the cash ISA, which I've already mentioned. The cash ISA is basically where you save money tax-free and you can withdraw it anytime you like. And then there's the stock and shares ISA, which you can invest money through and you're not charged a capital gains. So you can imagine some people have been investing through the capital stock and shares ISA for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And even if they went from 20K when they started to 1M, they're not required to pay capital gains tax, which is currently, I think, 24% in the UK, or 20, depending on whether it's property or stock and shares. I think Labour government recently increased capital gains tax in the UK. So basically, normally, if you had an investment and you had a return on it, you do have to pay a tax on it. So normally, if you invested, let's say you bought something for, let's say you bought something for 20,000, and when you sold it, it was now like 40,000. So you made 40,000 from that share you bought. So you made 20,000 because you bought it for 20, you sold it for 40. Your profit, as we call it profit, but the term is capital gains. The capital gains is 20K. So you do need to pay a percentage of that as tax. So as of 31st of October, the lower rate of capital gains tax was increased from 10% to 18%, while the higher rate went from 20 to 24%. What that means is that in the past, if you made any money, you had to pay 10% of it as capital gains if you were a lower rate taxpayer. So your rate of tax is a different discussion. Now, if you're a higher rate taxpayer, you had to pay 20% of your gain, okay? Now, from 31st of October, for those of you who read my email on the 26th of October or so, where I said I was selling my shares because they were going to increase this capital gains, or I thought they were going to increase it. Turns out I was right, and they increased it and it applied immediately. So that would have meant I would have been paying more tax, but that saved me several thousands of pounds. So with an ISA, you don't have to deal with all of that. Okay, with a stock and shares ISA, you don't have to pay any capital gains tax. Again, capital gains tax now is 18% for those on a lower rate tax regime, basically. And for higher rate taxpayers, which you're here, you know yourself, if you're paying 40% and above, your tax rate has gone basically higher. It's gone up from 20 to 24%. All right. So that's stock and shares ISA. Again, for a recap, it's cash ISA, stock and shares ISA, and number 3, we'll call that lifetime ISA. That's the one I was asking about. Lifetime ISA is basically if you save any money up to £4,000 every tax year. So, it's every tax year. So April 6 to April 5. So if you save any money up to £4,000 every tax year, the government sort of gives you 25% of what you save. That way you get sort of free government money. It's hard to come by.
How financially healthy are you? What is your financial early warning score? You can call it fuse score, just like Neil's score. It can help tell whether you're at risk of financial sepsis or being acutely unwell financially. Now, take our financial health check quiz to find out. In just another 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, you will get a personalized financial health score, an action plan to improve in key areas like your earnings, your savings, investing, and obviously financial security. It's fast, simple, and completely free. Discover where you stand and take control of your financial future today. Take the quiz now using the link in the description. And now let's jump right back to the episode.
So it's 25% of whatever you save. Basically, if you save £4,000, you get £1,000. And I mean, this is a quick hack. We are in February. The tax is ending in April 5. Assuming, and this is an example I give, assuming that you've got an ISA, lifetime ISA, your partner has got a lifetime ISA, your wife or your husband or your spouse, whatever, you've got like 4K in that lifetime ISA, you get £1,000, your partner gets £1,000. Let's assume you're saving to buy your first home, because the lifetime ISA can only be used for your first home or for retirement. So basically, if we're in February, you put in £4,000, and your partner puts in £4,000 in a separate lifetime ISA, you get £1,000, your partner gets £1,000. Okay, that's just the beginning of the story. By April 6, we've entered a new tax year. You can just do it again. You can just do it again. You put in £4,000, your partner puts in another £4,000. So rather than saving your money in a regular savings account, especially if you're planning to buy your first home or you're investing for retirement, doing that automatically means that you just get like 25% from the government, totally risk-free. Okay? Does that sound good? Who likes 25%? I like 25%. There's some downside to the lifetime ISA. I've done a video about it, sort of like the downsides of lifetime ISA on our YouTube channel. The problem with the lifetime ISA is, one, obviously, we've talked about this already. You can't open it if you're above 40. Two, you can only use it for two things. The other ISAs, you can get them anytime you want, but this lifetime ISA, if you use it for anything other than your first home or for retirement, you get a penalty. First of all, you lose that 25% bonus that the government gives you. And then depending on the platform, some platforms will also charge you maybe a fee or something. They might charge you a 3%. I know some that charge as high as 3%. So that's the downside of lifetime ISA. The second downtime of the lifetime ISA is that, okay, still talking about the first. If you use the lifetime ISA, you can only buy a house as £450,000 or below. You can't go above that price. So if you've been saving the money, let's say you live in London. Where do you live, Patrick? Where about do you live?
In Wolverhampton.
Wolverhampton, okay. Lovely, lovely Midlands. So I don't know if anyone here lives in London or Southwest like me or whatever. I know it's quite difficult to find a house that is 450K in some areas. So what was it like in Wolves? With 450K, what can they buy?
It will buy you a mansion.
A mansion.
Maybe like a good 4 or 5 bed, depending on the area. Yeah, in Wolverhampton.
Wow. Okay, you both live in Wolves. Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
live in
Did you know each other before?
I don't know who is
Right.
speaking, and
Yeah.
I don't know if the
Okay.
person knows me.
Patrick and Oyenda Mola, good. So you find your neighbor. Maybe you start a Moneywise Doctor Club in Wolves. Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Right. So again, it's some people got caught out. They've been saving all this money. They want to buy their first home. Then house prices went up, and then the house is maybe 500K, and suddenly, oh wow, another person Wolves, Darry, and then they suddenly find themselves, oh, the house is now above 450, and they don't live in Wolves. They can't buy a mansion, right? So wherever they live, they suddenly, especially London or the Southwest, and now they can't use the lifetime ISA. So they are getting a penalty, but they were planning to use the money to buy the first house. So that's some of the challenges of lifetime ISA. The final thing with the lifetime ISA, which again, I found a way around it. The final issue is after 50 years of age, you can't put any more money in the lifetime ISA. Guess what? When you can't put any money, you don't get the 25%, right? Because the 25% is just dependent on whatever money you put in, then the government gives you 25% of it. Does that make sense? Say yes? Yes? Okay, good. Now, after 50, you can't put in any more money. Right. If you're just doing savings, which is not what we're doing here, we're talking about investing. If you're just putting the lifetime ISA, you're just saving the money, because there are two types of lifetime ISA. Okay. If you're just using the lifetime ISA cash, it's just savings. From 50 years of age till 60, when you can cash out the money, that means your money is just sitting around in a savings account. You might get a bit of interest here and there, but nothing spectacular. On the other hand, if you're like me and you're using the lifetime ISA stock and shares, Now, don't confuse that with the stock and shares ISA. It's a different type of ISA. I'm talking about the lifetime ISA. If you're using the lifetime ISA stock and shares, then you could actually leave the money there because it's being invested anyway, or you're investing it anyway. So it's not like it's money just sitting there. It's money that is in the market. Obviously, if you're using lifetime ISA stock and shares, your money is not just in cash. You are investing it in the stock market. So even if you're not putting any more money, but it's not sitting around, obviously, investment comes with risk, and that's part of what we're learning in these 7 days, how to manage that risk. Money is in cash. The risk is inflation. Money in investment, there are more opportunities for growth, but there's also a risk of loss. All right. Does that make sense so far? And anyone else who is interested in lifetime ISA? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Lovely. Don't worry, we've got like 7 days. If you show up in the group, show up in the charts, I'm sure we can sort of like at the end of 7 days, you'll be clear on basically not just how to invest, but how to do it in the most tax efficient way. All right, okay. So I'm just going to look at the chart real quick. Okay, here in our lifetime stock and shares ISA for the first time. Excellent, Daniel. So many people don't know there's a lifetime stock and shares ISA. So that's one of the benefits of this session, is so that there are some of those things, they're out there, but no one really comes to doctors and starts saying, oh yeah, you need to do this or you can do this. Basically, it's not financial advice, it's getting the education. Sadly, a lot of what is packaged as financial education turns out to be people just selling products or trying to get you to give them money to invest and all that kind of stuff. That's not really financial education. Financial education should give you the options available, and then you can make your choice, because people, even after they get financial education, like after our 4 weeks master class, some people started investing by themselves. There were still some people who needed an advisor for different reasons, but at least you need to get that education, and then you're empowered to make your decisions. Lovely. Right. Okay. So who else has a list? Who else had a list of 7? I'm grateful for. I've seen Eno and then Daniel. I think someone else. Who else shared what their list showed? You've gone through your list of 7. And you found, okay, did anyone get 7 over 7? You're doing all the 7 things. Anyone? 7 over 7? Right? Nobody. Got all these brilliant doctors, physiotherapists, medics. Class. Okay, did anyone get 6 over 7? Still a very high bar. All right, okay, how about 5 over 7? Oh no, okay, no problem. Anybody got 4 over 7? Okay, well done. All right, Daniel. Okay, excellent. You got that 4 over 7. Yeah, actually, you mentioned it. 3 over 7. I'm sure many of us got 3 over 7. It's easy. If you guys get like investing in financial education, you've got your life insurance, income protection, you've got your emergency fund. Yeah, okay. And did anyone get like 2 over 7? Maybe. Right. Okay, that's brilliant. Okay. Right, so I'm just gonna crack on now. I talked about the 7 things. And for those of you who got my email, I attached it as well. So there's an attachment in the email. If you didn't get it, don't worry. Give me a shout in the WhatsApp chat, and I'll share the document. It's a free document. It's basically like a guide, 7 steps you need to take before you start investing. And that was the exercise today. Said number 1, invest in yourself. Which obviously there are many ways to invest in yourself. One of them is by studying. One of them is by attending sessions like this. One of them is by hiring someone, a coach. One of them is attending seminars. There are multiple ways, but you're a doctor. Most doctors, physios, healthcare professionals, you're really, really, really busy. Apart from your job, you've got family, you've got stuff and all that stuff. If you haven't got kids, obviously, you think you're busy, but once you get kids, it takes up to the next level of stuff. I've learned that. So I'm a young dad myself. So you don't want to waste all your time, because you've also got CPD. Yeah, I don't want to waste all your time trying to read everything. Of course, if you're a nerd, knock yourself out. I did like 53 or 55 books last year. I enjoy it. I do many of them as audiobooks. But I say for doctors and healthcare professionals, all you need is one book every year. If you read one good book every year, that means that think about your life over the last 12 years, you would have done like 12 solid books. If you read one good solid book every year, that's 1. Two, if you invest in your own financial education by attending sessions like this, if you attend a seminar or a conference or a workshop on finances every year, I mean, make sure it's something high quality, not just people gather together want to sell stuff. If it's really something high quality, good. Financial education, one every year. So one book, one event. And the last one, number three, is a little bit self-serving for me to say because I've got a weekly newsletter. But if you've got a weekly newsletter, a weekly blog, or a weekly podcast you follow, that will just give you like 5 minutes, a bit of little bit of yeah, please, there was no attachment. You can write it on the WhatsApp group, we'll share it later. If you didn't get the attachment, also in the WhatsApp group, we'll share it there. Right. So if you just got like those three things, one weekly podcast or email newsletter or blog you follow, that'll give you like 3 to 5 minutes. What's going on? Are there changes in the tax rules? There's something I need to be thinking about. Not every day. You don't have to be every day checking your accounts and all that stuff. Number two would be like one book every year. And number three is obviously attend a workshop or seminar. So that's basically investing in yourself, the way I see it. Okay. I'm interested to know right here. I know this is February. In the last 12 months, can you tell me in the chat box any book you've read, any book on finances or business? And if you want to mention a book you've read, and if you haven't read a book, tell me a podcast that you listened to or a session you attended. Yeah. Okay, psychology of money. Peace. Excellent. Every single person in the mastermind, Moneywise Dr. Mastermind, received the psychology of money. Okay, some people received one different book. Yeah, I think it's an excellent book, The Psychology of Money. Okay. Is it only Dr. Peace that has been reading? Anyone else? Okay. The Richest Man in Babylon, excellent book. I read that book at 17. It was a very good book. It's sort of the basics, paying yourself first. Enoch said The Richest Man in Babylon. That's a popular book. I recommended it on my channel as well 2 years ago. So that's an excellent book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's one of my top 12 books, okay? And the principle is about paying yourself first, okay? Right, okay. And for the rest of us who have not read any finance book, don't worry, you have the time. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's an excellent book. It opened my eyes when I was about 18. I read most of the books on your list. Wow, that's brilliant. So you've read the 12. Well done. Yeah, Brahmaya. Yeah, so maybe you've done the first list of 12. I'll introduce you to the rest of the 256. I will go from there. But well done. Moneywise Doctors Podcast, Medics Money. I've read books, novels, not financial books. Excellent. Barry Shishi, Alex channel on YouTube. Who is this? Barry. I love it. I love it. I love it. Alex channel. I think I know Alex channel, but some of it is just entertainment when they tell you the 10 top richest people in the world. But that's just entertainment, is it? Excellent. So we're already doing some things. Okay, read your weekly blogs. Yay, that's good. So we're already doing some stuff in terms of financial education, but this is number one, the 7 things, invest in yourself. What you want to do, you want to boost your financial IQ. And Baron, it's like Barry Allen wants to make me feel good today because he said he listens to my videos on YouTube, and Patrick as well. Oh, Patrick, yeah, you can see suddenly my earpiece is expanding because my head is getting bigger and bigger. Right, yeah. Keep it coming and you keep me here for the rest of the night. So basically, you just have a system for educating yourself. That's number one. Number two is a financial audit, okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to do a real life financial audit. Some of you have done it, but you didn't really quite pay attention to it. But we're going to do a financial audit for every single person in the Moneywise Doctor 12 months mastermind, or even if you do a master class with us, one of the things you have to do is an audit so that you see where your gaps are. But we're going to do one live. It doesn't take that much time. Number three, basically, is to build an emergency fund. All right. So can you tell me here, can someone tell me here, please, what is an emergency fund? Because people mix it up with different things. Can somebody explain? Anyone that understands it clearly, or anyone that doesn't understand that wants to ask, please feel free.
I mean, my understanding from listening to your videos and reading your the different things you send via email,
Yeah.
I think it's having your expenses for 3 to 6 months, what you normally would spend monthly, you have the cash equivalent saved somewhere, something that would last you for 3 to 6 months. And I think on one of your somewhere, I think I saw you recommended you could put in a cash ISA or something like that, something that you could very easily withdraw, something like that.
That's amazing, Patrick. I don't have anything to add because that's just the summary of it. It also makes me feel anytime I sit down to write these emails for hours or record a video, I like to hear that someone actually read them. Currently, we've got like 60-something% open rate, so that means people open our emails. We don't want it to go down, so we'll not send any garbage. We only send something that is useful. But Patrick has summarized it. Because someone said on my video, why do you ask people to not start investing till they have 3 months of salary? I'm like, we're not even talking about salary here. I don't even have a salary. We're talking about 3 to 6 months of your living expense. Everybody has a living expense. So if you can save 3 to 6 months, if your living expense, what you need to keep afloat every month is 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, wherever, you want to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of it. I think Oge also shared that in the chat box. So 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses saved, not in the market. It's not invested. Don't give it to someone to invest for you or your cousin or someone who has a bright crypto idea. No. It's saved in an account. And why we say the cash ISA account, you're actually spot on there, Patrick. Is because if you save it in a regular savings account, you can imagine some people here have got like living expenses of 5,000, 6,000. So that means there are 3 months living expenses, 18,000. If you put it in a regular savings account and you're generating interest, if you generate interest, let's say you got interest at 5%, 18,000, 5% of it, even 5% of 18,000 would be what? Someone help me. I don't want to do public mass, but I think 5% of it should be roughly 900 or so, I think. 900. So if you're higher rate taxpayer, you've already exceeded your savings allowance of 500. So that's why we think it's better left in a cash ISA. And that money is for emergencies. Emergency is an emergency. Not like I feel like I need to buy a new seat. It's not an emergency. Let's say your boiler gets blown up or stuff like that. Why is important is that if you have emergency fund, it's a psychological thing. Okay? Because part of the thing that helped me to get to financial independence quicker was that when the market was down, I was able to buy. When I was able to take advantage of market dip, stock market, I didn't do it in 2008. In 2008, I was busy celebrating that I didn't lose any money that I sold before the market crashed. Now, looking back, I thought I was a bit foolish then. But I was inexperienced. By then, I'd only been investing for like 3 to 4 years, and that was my first market crash. But basically, if you've got an emergency fund, you've got some safety net. You're not doing things out of a point of fear. And that way you can actually coolly analyze situations because you know that, okay, if the market goes down, it doesn't mean I don't have any fallback plan or I'm going to lose everything, okay? Another thing about the emergency fund, again, it's all about psychology. Amara, you've read Dr. P. Amara, you've read the psychology of money. Money is not just numbers and mathematics. A lot of it is psychology. So I usually say, okay, having an emergency fund will ensure that not everything becomes an emergency or a crisis. If you don't have an emergency fund money saved, I've seen doctors, and it's quite shocking. It's consultants, senior GPs who earn maybe 150, 160, 170. They haven't got any money saved. And some of them are actually in quite a bit of debt, deep debt. So the result of that is that any little thing becomes a crisis. Any problem like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 could actually be a bit of a crisis, and that affects your overall decision making, including investing. All right, so that's your emergency fund. Okay, now number 4 is having a financial defensive strategy. Again, we'll address this during the course of the challenge. Financial defensive strategies, while investing is attack, the defensive strategy is sort of like defense. You're looking at things like your life insurance. If you got your life insurance and income protection to make sure that, okay, if things do not go as planned, you're not having to sell your investments. Okay, so life insurance is basically like, okay, you pay some money in terms of the same way you pay a premium for your car insurance, you pay life insurance. Isn't it crazy that some people insure their microwave and insure their watch and their car, but they don't insure their most important assets, including their life and their income. So income protection insurance is quite similar. You pay some money to make sure that, oh, even if things don't go as planned. For instance, one of the doctors that came on my podcast, Dr. Ruth Machine, she was a radiology consultant. Unfortunately, she developed optic neuritis. So severe, it came with severe eye pain on Christmas, December 2020. Basically, she said to me, a radiologist, Andy, a radiologist without your eyes and a good sense of sarcasm, what else have you got? So she's not gone back now. She's no longer working as a radiology consultant. In fact, recently she's retrained as a health coach. But Dr. Ruth Machine did a very important decision. When she was younger, in her 20s, she never knew would really, really come up. But it saved everything basically, because she said to me at some point she was thinking they might lose their house because she was the main sort of like breadwinner. She was a radiology consultant, so she had a lot of income. Relative to her husband, who was a radiographer, had some income as well, but he earned the bulk of the money. So basically, Dr. Ruth Machine had income protection that was occupation specific. So that means that when she had that issue, she could no longer work. First of all, she had an emergency fund which she fell back on. Then after the emergency fund, because she was under NHS pension, she had the sort of like sick pay from the NHS pension, which was for 6 months. And then for the last few years, she had been getting income protection money paid. So they will pay you based on, this is your income that you should have gotten. So that's how to explain income protection. Of course, life insurance is on the other hand. If someone dies, while they're still on the life insurance, their dependents will get a payout. Okay. Again, this is just day one, so scratching the surface here, but I want to make it very important, something really clear in life insurance. I always suggest that people put it in a trust. So when you do your life insurance, if you use the right insurance advisor and you talk to them, I always suggest an independent insurance advisor, and we'll go into the reasons why in the challenge. If you talk to them and say, I want it to be in a trust, that way your life insurance doesn't fall under your estate, and inheritance tax does not apply to it. Because basically, if your life insurance falls into your estate, then that means that it could actually be taxed as part of your inheritance tax. So that's something to look at. Okay, I'm going to pause at this point, and then I think there are a couple of questions. Barry, did you want to ask a question?
Thank you, boss. I was asking about critical illness cover. So
Right.
that's what I currently have. Is that of any? I know income protection is probably long-term benefits, but I have critical illness cover. Is this useful? Should I consider changing this plan to something more long-term like income protection?
Okay, that's very useful. I don't know, does anyone have a question as well around that area so that we can just deal with it? Income protection versus critical illness. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So thank you for that question. So Barry, well, I can't tell you specifically what to do. I can tell you what I did. What I would obviously recommend would be to speak to an independent insurance advisor. But critical illness covers mostly just 3 things: heart attack, stroke, cancer. So if someone doesn't have a heart attack, a stroke, or a cancer, their critical illness doesn't cover them. So in the case of someone like Dr. Ruth Machine, she wouldn't have been able to assess critical illness. So critical illness is nice, but from my perspective, I had critical illness, but I switched to income protection a few years ago. There's no harm in having both of them, but at the end of the day, insurance is money that you expect to quote unquote waste. Insurance is money that you don't expect to get back if everything works all right. It's only the money. Obviously, don't get your car insurance if you don't crash your car, and if your house doesn't get burnt down, you're not looking for your house insurance. So that's why whenever you're making insurance expense, you want to get the right insurance, but you don't want to be overpaying or buying whatever insurance you don't need. Is critical illness insurance good? I'll say, well, yeah, of course. For instance, if someone thought, well, if I have a heart attack, I'd like to get a lump sum. because critical illness you get paid a lump sum. They might calculate 2 years worth of your what you would have gotten as income and you get that lump sum. I'm just going to use £3,500. So with critical illness, if you're going to be getting £3,500, that's the amount that you quote. I'm giving this an example. So £3,500 for 2 years is 3,500 by 24 months. So that's 84,000, and that's a lump sum that you get in critical illness. Whereas with income protection, you don't get a lump sum, you get a monthly income. So you'll be getting 3,500 instead. The only difference is that income protection covers any other reason, including those three that were mentioned. So again, it might be worth having a chat with an insurance advisor. We do vet insurance advisors for Moneywise Doctor. We're about to onboard a couple of insurance advisors, mortgage advisors, accountants. We have some already, but it usually takes several months to onboard one because we go through a rigorous process to check their credentials. We look at the reviews they've had, make sure there's no skeletons in the, sometimes we even have to use them ourselves for services, and then we can say, okay, this guy is a recommended advisor that you could use. But then that's a sort of discussion you should have. I don't know, did that help, Barry? Did that help at all?
Yes, thank you very much.
Lovely. Okay. Right. Okay. So we've run through the first 4 things. Obviously, there's number 5, which is eliminate high interest debts. Again, PowerPoint would be nice, but there's a whole guide on this to look at. Number 5 is eliminate high interest debts. So again, my last masterclass, there was someone with student debt and they were wondering what to do. Should I invest? Should I pay off debt? I tend to say any debt that costs you a lot in terms of interest. Like I've got my business card. I've got one of my business card. I'll show you now. That's not even here. So I think in my last video, if you looked at the video, that was like 7 accounts you need to have. My business card is 102% interest. But I pay it all back in full. I don't sort of like, I don't take any chances. It's set up automatically, direct debit, and it goes back all in full. So if you have a credit card debt that the interest is 25%, 30%, and you're not paying it back in full or you're in debt, then there's no point going to make an investment that will give you 20% or even 30% because you can get an immediate risk-free return on your money by paying back that credit card or maybe borrowed money from the bank. Or that's part of why my last couple of cards been cash. You don't have to do that yourself, but basically I checked at that point the interest rate. If you wanted to do higher purchase or PCP or whatever they call it, you had to pay like 10% or one crazy amount. And I said to myself, if I went to take that same amount of money and put it in government bonds or gilts, as we'll be addressing in the 7 days, you look at gilts and bonds. If I went to do that, I wouldn't have been sure to get that same 10% in interest to me. So that's why I wasn't very cool with going to borrow money at 10%. So if you've got high interest debt, okay, this 7 days will be a good opportunity to look at them. If there are large debts that you can't pay, at least you can start a plan to attack them. You can actually start doing things like Daniel mentioned some really good stuff. He mentioned he looks at subscriptions. Is there any way that he's using, maybe you're paying for Netflix, Amazon Prime, and a gym membership, and also some random software that you no longer use. I think someone in the Moneywise Dr. Mastermind found £350 per month that she was just sort of like randomly going because she thought, I don't have any money to save from my emergency fund. Talk more of investing. I'm already spending 5K per month. I don't have any money. And she turns out that, there was all this money lying around. So this is one area to explore as well. Okay, so pay off high interest debt.
Now, this is a very crucial topic. Have you secured your family's financial future? Many times you're busy as doctors and healthcare professionals. That's fine, but if we overlook our life insurance and income protection until it's too late, you're taking a bit of a risk here. Nobody can predict the future. You need to protect what matters most. Think about life insurance and income protection. This is really quite important to protect your most valuable assets. Now, if you're not sure about what you need or how to go about it, check the link in the description. I have a free guide that can help you step by step. Let's get back to the episode.
Anything like non-mortgage. Number 6 is tax-free investing with stock and shares. Okay, so tax-free investing, whether it's stock and shares, whether you're using SIP, these are sort of like tax advantage accounts. I know Aino asked about SIP in the group, and I've shared a link to download a free guide on the SIP. What I mean basically is that before you invest, you want to find the best tax advantage. Because if you invest money, let me give you an example. Let's say Dami and I were investing, and let's say we're equal ability investors, or just our stocks perform the same. And Dami gets like let's say 50% return, and I get 50% return. But Dami has got to pay capital gains tax. He's paying at 20% or 24%, whatever. And I have to pay zero capital gains tax. If you're still coming back again to invest, Dami has less money to invest. I have more money to invest. Let's repeat that cycle after like 20 times, or even over a period of a number of years. Dami will have significantly less money than me in terms of compounding. And this doesn't just apply to tax, this applies to fees as well. Paying high fee could also do that. So you want to make sure that you're using the best tax advantage account, whether it's an ISA, whether it's a SIP, if you're investing for retirement, see if it's self-invested personal pension. You want to use the best tax advantage account. Okay, right. I'm going to pause here. Before we do the investment challenge, sorry, not the investment challenge, before we do the audit, because I want us to do the audit live today. Some of you have done it in the past, but it would be nice to do it as a group. That will be what we will end with. Does anyone have any questions around investing with tax-free investing? Yeah. Does anyone have any questions around those, whether it's ISAs or SIP or stuff?
Oh, yes, I have a question about what you've just talked about.
Everything or just the last
No,
thing?
just this last part, but it's not ISA or SIP. Or
Because
you mentioned about purchasing a car. So it was as if you just echoed my thoughts. So over the past few days, I've been thinking about I was considering going to take a loan from the bank to get a car rather than doing the PCP. So when you mentioned it, it kind of tickled my fancy. So I'm just asking about it again. Like, is it a better thing to do? Because I checked the bank's APR is around 6% or so, while with the financing it's almost up to 12%. Sorry for the background noise. So I was wondering if there is any, maybe something I'm not looking at, and why I've not heard most of my friends, mention it as to why everybody was going the PCP route. Sorry for the noise.
Oh, it's fine. I understand that. We've all got kids. I'm not some of us. All
Can
right.
I say something?
Yes. Thank you for that question, Dr. Smiles. And Dami wants to weigh in. Dami, please.
So I wanted to add a little bit to what, or to make a bit of a comment to what she just said.
Yes.
I really don't understand why a lot of people don't know about that simple hack. It was something I figured when I wanted to buy my very first car.
Yes.
That the money you borrow from, and funny enough, it was about COVID period or thereabouts. I think before the onset of COVID and all the inflation setting.
Yes.
When interest rate was still about 3%, 2.89%.
Yes.
And I wanted to buy a car. Interest rates for the or for PCPs were going at 10, 11%.
Yes.
I just looked at how much was in my hands, and then I went to my bank. I banked with them. I asked them if I could borrow. They just checked through. It was a simple, quick assessment, and they told me I could borrow at 3.2%. I collected the rest of the money needed to buy my car from the bank, and I used it to buy the car, cash down. When I went to the dealership and I told them I wanted to buy the car and I wanted to pay cash, they tried all sorts of gimmicks.
Yes.
Your money, instead of it to invest, you could use it to do things while you pay cash down and all of that.
Yes.
So they made up my mind, I have the cash, I want to pay, take the money. Eventually, I got the car and I found out that on the long run, the amount I was paying the bank back was so much less than I would have had to pay the company by was PCP. And this was the car I already owned. If anything happened to that car tomorrow, and something, God forbid, something happened to the car and it was my fault, and I don't have to go and answer to an insurance company or to the dealership that your car has spoiled it to now
Yes.
come and pay you the remaining amount of money
Yes.
that's left over the car. It's mine, it's mine. The only thing I have is the bank loan that I service on my own terms. I think a lot of people need to look a bit more into it actually.
Love that example. I think Dr. Smiles Dami has actually given a life example. I'm also glad I don't want to be the only one sort of giving the examples here. But I'm going to give a general principle, okay? Irrespective of whether you do PCP, whether you borrow money or whether you pay cash. I know because when we bought like the last one, they tried, oh, why are you paying cash? Then the reason why are you paying cash? I'm like, well, it's cheaper for me to pay cash at that point. I have no reason. In the past, I bought a car with PCP. The principle is to do the numbers, okay, to sit down and check how much is this really going to cost me? Because if you tell you to PCP, you still have to pay a lump sum at the end. But sometimes the PCP might turn out to be the better option. Some other times, the higher purchase might be the better option. Some other times, if you've got a cash lying around and there's nothing that can give you a better return. So always think about the whole thing from a holistic point of view. How much is this loan really going to cost me? I think of loan or anything in terms of freedom. I'd like to have a Ferrari. I mean, once I turn 40, I think I'm officially midlife. So for midlife crisis, maybe I could buy a bright red Ferrari, and that would be nice. That's my own midlife crisis. Then that means I either have to dole out the cash, or if I buy it based on higher purchase, that means okay, now I need to do a bit more work, and that reduces my freedom and my ability to run sessions like that, or like this, or write blogs. Obviously, do whatever I love. So it's really quite important to understand what is really going to cost you. Okay. Someone asked what's PCP. I think we can continue the chat on the WhatsApp just because I'm quite aware that we're running short of time and I want us to do that live audit. Okay. Dr. Smiles, did I help in any way at all?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Also, Dr. Dami. Yeah, thank you.
To thank. He explained the whole situation. And maybe when you join the WhatsApp group, you could clarify for Dr. Eno what PCP is. And in terms of basically PCP is like a sort of like financing. Now, but what I wanted us to understand from that story Dami shared is that the main product being sold there is not even the car, is the financing. That's why everybody wants to take on the financing because that's where they make the real money from. Okay. Now, I'm going to post a link to a quiz, which some of you might have done in the past, but I think it's going to be quite insightful you doing it now. Bright red Ferrari. What if it's white? Okay, Daniel. Right, so I'm posting the link to the quiz. If you can see the chart, you can get access to it. Yeah, we haven't got like a barcode. Maybe someone from my team in future sessions we'll get some barcodes so that you can just point to your phone to it. We did it in the last masterclass. It was very clever. So I've posted a link in the chat. I'm going to post it in the WhatsApp group as well for those of you in the WhatsApp group that want to just sort of jump into it. I mean, I'm posting it to the 7-day WhatsApp group, 7-day challenge. All right, so because it's now like 8:30 and I really need for us to finish timely. We'll probably, if you guys are fine, we'll take an extra 10 minutes so we can do the quiz. So I've posted the quiz. You've got 3 minutes, go through it, and we'll come back and talk about the results. So for this, I think Dr. Peace, I don't know if she's still here. She mentioned wanting to do an audit and stuff like that. So this is a good one to start with. Obviously for in the mastermind, we've got like spreadsheets where people can actually plug in numbers. We've got like people using Notion templates to plug in numbers to see what is my budget, what we've got like tools to calculate how many years do I need to invest and what sort of risk do I need to be taking to be able to, finish sort of like get my financial independence at 50 or 60. And these are part of what people work towards. Some people 40, obviously, if you start early, you're aggressive in investing and you're taking the risk, but also making sure that you're not taking too much risk. Right, but I posted the quiz. Let me know if you've taken it. Right, okay. Has anyone done the quiz? Oh, okay, 38%. That's not too bad, Well done. Again, see different scores. Yeah, Dami is back. Dami, welcome back. Dr. Smiles was saying thank you for that explanation. Dr. Smiles, 76%. Blimey. That's one of the best ones I've seen. Okay. That's brilliant. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, again, don't worry if you score a low score or a high score. We've got I think one of our doctors in the Moneywise Doctor Mastermind. She was in the first 20. She used to be an investment banker for one of the largest banks in the world. So she knows what she's doing with investing. She understands her stuff. When she took this quiz, she was a bit surprised, basically, because she did well with investing, but there were other areas like tax and all that kind of stuff. So it might be the same with you. You might find out that, okay, you're doing well in one area, but the whole point is, okay, you find these areas and you can go in on them and sort them out. Ray did 43%. Wow, who have I got in this place? I've got people who are really like crushing it. That's well done, Ray. But basically, you've got a general idea of the areas you can look at and deal with, basically. So far so good. Okay, right, and we've got Bramia did 24%. Okay, well done. Okay, now I don't know if there's any one more score coming through. For those of you that have posted your score, if you feel comfortable, do you want to sort of like share what is it eye-opening? Did you learn anything new? Was it very useful doing that quiz, or audit as it were? 57%. Patrick, well done. Okay, Patrick, do you want to go if you feel comfortable? Did the quiz sort of like shine the light to you on any areas at all?
Yes, sorry. So I was trying to get back on the screen.
That's all right.
I think the main things really for me is the areas that are green are earning and saving. So essentially I save money every month. I have a compulsory fair amount of money I save every month compulsorily. So, and I put it away in such a way that I only have access to use it once a year. And so that once a year I can either invest it properly, so it's properly saved, and then once a year I can then decide what I want to do with it. And then it's about security and investing, so making that investment, or going forward, making that big move really to increase my investing, really. I think that's where I need to improve on.
Excellent stuff, Patrick. Well done. And I can see Gabs, is that Gabriel? You got 52%, which is amazing. You guys are really crushing it here. I'm not surprised that maybe that's why you're in this sort of challenge, because you're very intentional and you're moving in the right direction. One thing I wanted to point out before I ask the next person, I think we've got a couple more minutes. One thing I wanted to point out is what Patrick said. He saves money intentionally. I want to say one way to make it better is even to do it automatically. So you don't have to do it like I'm sure that's what you're already doing, Patrick. But just in case anyone is not doing that, you don't want to remember, because some of you mentioned you read The Richest Man in Babylon. It says pay yourself first. So you don't want to be paying yourself after you've paid the barber. You've paid for those of you who go to the barber, like me, and spend quite a bit of money. You don't want to pay yourself after you've paid the rent and the mortgage and the electricity and everything else, then you pay yourself. No. You set up a direct debit. This is how I run my own account as well. If you want to delve a bit more into this, go and watch my video 2 weeks ago. Maybe UD, if you can find it and share it in the chat. I'll share it in the WhatsApp group as well. It's 7 accounts you need for financial freedom. So those 7 accounts. So I set it up all automatically. If money is landing into the main income account, a percentage of it is going out into the savings account. So you can set up Whether you want 20% or 30% or 15%, wherever you're comfortable with, I tend to suggest 20%. So that's deducted and goes into the account. And in Patrick's approach, he would then decide at the end of the year, which is good. But what I even think is better is to also sort of set off a system to be investing as the year is going on, so that you don't miss out opportunities during the year while you're waiting for the end of the year. And in case towards the end of the year, if you don't get the chance or the time to decide, that could mean the money just sitting in savings as well. But well done, Patrick. That was an excellent score, and thank you for sharing. Daniel, you scored 76%. Right. Okay. How about is that Dr. Bramia? I'm really sorry. Did I say your name correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Bramia. So was it revealing? What did the quiz reveal to you? Did you see anything, any insights?
Yeah.
Are you yeah, okay. What did you see from it?
It basically reflects my, would I say, me as an investor or someone that saves. It just reflects what I do really, and the fact that I'm here for that
Yeah.
reason, because I feel like I need that education to improve on these things. So yeah, it reflects that.
Absolutely. Well done. I think is really the first step is to find out where things are. So thank you for sharing that. And the idea is that after these 7 days, obviously we're focusing on investing, but we're not just looking at investing, we're looking at tax efficiency, investing, and all that kind of stuff. Want to approach it holistically so that your financial health is important. It's not like you're gymming one muscle, your bicep then blows up, and the rest of your body is just tiny, atrophied. Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Bramia. Okay, lovely. Does one more person want to share before I share a few things about them tomorrow and then we round up? Did anyone get shocked by their score or someone impressed? Is there someone that was thinking I'm not doing well and then you get like a good score and then you're fanning yourself? Anyone else wants to share? Feel free.
Hi, can I share something?
Yeah, of course. T. Yeah, T.
Okay.
Share.
Yeah, hi, I'm Taufika. So my score this time around is 57, and just about a week ago, the last master class, how long ago was that? Or maybe about 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Was the first set of master class I joined. My score at that time was about 20-something%.
Yeah, I remember.
So just to say, sort of the benefits of being on this platform and being on your program. So between that time and now, I've watched a few more videos of yours. I've had a one-on-one session with you, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
I've started taking baby steps, and that has moved me from 20-something to 50-something now. So I'm proud and looking forward to, keep going.
Wow. You've gone from 20-something to 50-something%. That's massive. So what happened? Did you start earning more money, or did you what changed?
So I've opened a fund account, and I think I used the Invest Engine. So I've opened one already. I also went back to look at some of the other existing ones I have, to look at which ones are ISA eligible, which ones are not. I called my pension fund administrator today to say, look, what's my, how much more?
You're not messing about
at all. So I did that today. He sent me a link where I'll be able to sort of look at, how much more I can put up in terms of SIPs. So, and I'm also sort of, calling off looking at my finances, I really don't have so much debt, but looking at areas where I can maximize in terms of investment, because that's where I think I don't have my weak point. I'm really not investing, so I'm trying to do more of that.
Absolutely. This is amazing. I'm really impressed, T, because you're obviously an action taker. This session that you mentioned was just a week ago. Well, two weekends ago. It was on a Friday.
It was a Friday, yes.
And then you had a one-on-one session with me just a week ago.
Yeah, on
Thursday. Made so much
Thursday.
advancements. Okay. That's good. I love that. So basically, this is a clear example. Sometimes it's not just about earning more money. Earning more money is great, but like I've told you, I've seen like consultants who are working in private sector. They hop on a one-on-one session with me, It turns out, look, they're earning like 250, but they're quite in a bit of debt, basically, because of the way their finance is structured. They've got £1 million house in London and a massive mortgage and so many issues. They're under stress. They have to do many jobs to catch up. And I'm thinking, well, maybe just a little bit of plugging the holes. And in one situation, this particular situation was a GP. By just doing the tax relief and filing his taxes properly, he was able to claim back about £9,780 in tax relief, which gave him a bit of a breather. Obviously, that's tax relief. The HMRC didn't send me a check for 9,000. It gave him tax relief and brought him down from that 60% tax trap he was. So being intentional and actually even if he did dedicate 1 hour every year, 1 hour the whole year to look at your taxes and your finances, you're going to be far ahead of 80% of people who don't actually touch it, especially doctors and healthcare professionals, because we're so busy. All right, thank you. This is all very inspiring, and obviously a lot of energy comes from it. I see Dami's got 30%. I've posted a link for Invest Engine, and in terms of if you wanted to open a SIP or an ISA, we can talk a bit more about the different account options. I use Invest Engine, and I posted it basically because their fees is 0%, and fees matter. When we talk about investing, one of the key things we're going to talk about is being careful that you're not paying excess fees that are actually affecting your investment returns. So well done, Dami, 33%, and thank you for sharing T. I'm going to take one last question from Kingsley, who is a brilliant member of the mastermind, the Moneywise Doctor Mastermind. And I'm going to tell you the plan for tomorrow, even before we share it in email, because tomorrow is going to be hot. We're going to be looking at risk assessment, because 73% of doctors and healthcare professionals that don't invest, the biggest challenge they say is that they see investment as risky. So tomorrow we're going to be looking at risk, how to reduce your risk. We've already touched a bit on risk today, but tomorrow we're going to look at risk properly in terms of asset allocation, risk tolerance, and risk appetite. All right, go for it, Kingsley.
Good evening, all. I say it's not a question. It's just like a contribution, actually.
Yeah.
In regards to the health quiz.
Yeah.
Just in addendum to what the last speaker just said. Is that Dr. Ali? Am I correct? I'm not sure.
Yes, that's my name.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
I think I was present when we had the last mastermind class.
Yes.
So just in addition to what she said, personally, I think the take home for anyone on this platform today is to have an actionable plan. It's not just about coming and listening, fantastic people talking. It's always interesting when Andy talks, when he's you get motivated almost immediately. But I think the most important thing was what you do afterwards. Once you lock down your laptop and switch off that phone, that's the most important thing. I think when I had my one-on-one session with him, my quiz was in December. I had a quiz with him. That was before Christmas. It was 25%.
25. Yeah, that was before you went off to your fancy holiday in Moroccan mountain.
Then in January 12th, it was 38%.
Wow, okay.
And today is 71%.
What?
Now, the just as Dr. Ali said, the most important thing is once you come into financial class like this, is to
action.
Come intentional, be intentional when coming, have a plan, and go back and start taking that action. It's not easy, to be honest. Personally, over the last 1 month has been quite eye-opening for me when it comes to finance, when it comes to investment, when it comes to financial audits. And I will tell anyone, I'm not earning much, to be honest. I work in the NHS, obviously, so it's not big money. But what I've come to understand is not how much you earn, is how well you're able to manage the little you earn. So if I'm earning £30,000 annually and I'm able to manage it well, that means if I come across £60,000, I will do much more. Okay, so that's just a major difference. And what has changed over time is those key things we keep learning: emergency fund, tighten all those loose and be tax efficient, you know. Then after that, moving to investing, those processes really help. So personally, my advice to anyone is after coming and leaving, let's have an actionable plan. That's just the summary. Because anyone that comes here and we have an actionable plan, I put it to you, the next 4 weeks, there'll be a difference. So if you can save that link, save it, take this quiz again, it will not be the same percent. It should go higher. So that's what I challenge everybody. Well, I'm thinking it's personal experience. I believe it will work for anyone.
This is sort of like fire. Dropping so much gems. I myself just sitting down, getting like inspired when Kingsley was sharing. So thank you so much, T, and thank you so much, Kingsley. I love sharing and learning those life experiences, seeing people say it. It actually gives me a lot of the drive, the motivation. Obviously, when I started Moneywise Doctor, the first year I funded it myself, put in all the like 20K or whatever, 10K, I can't remember. But it was just the feedbacks, people coming back with a wall of love, seeing that transformation. So I'll borrow from what Kingsley said. That's what I'm going to do myself. That's the whole point of a challenge. A challenge is not you watching a video or reading a blog, so that you can take an action. Something that would have taken you, like, let's say 7 years to do, you do it in 7 days. So taking steps and action. And Kingsley has talked about it, and T has actually put it in action. I'm like, oh, this is really action lady. Right. So take steps, whatever we discuss, just give it a go. And if you have any challenge in putting the steps, then bring it to the WhatsApp group. That's the whole point of the challenge. If you're opening an account, you're getting confused, you don't know what to do, you bring it to the group, we talk about it, might even do it in the next session. And from the energy I'm getting here, I think might even do like another webinar tomorrow to deal with issues and answer questions. And again, I'll share it in the WhatsApp group. I'll come back. Right. I think I should draw the curtains here now while you're still at a high. Tomorrow, you're going to be looking at investment assets and their risk. So part of the reason I've managed to be doing this for the last 20 years, some of the people that started investing when I started investing, they're out of the market. They're no longer investing in the stock market. They've lost money. They've gone around to do property, different things, done like Ponzi's, and then they're suddenly starting again. Part of the reasons is because I've stayed in my lane. I understand my risk tolerance. I understand my risk capacity. They're not the same thing. Risk tolerance and risk appetite, one side, risk capacity is a different thing altogether. So tomorrow we are going to look at different asset classes, stocks, bonds, property, different things, or even new asset classes. Like recently, I was an angel investor in a software company. So high risk. I might never see my money again, or maybe it come back times 10. We don't know. We'll see. We trust God, and we'll see how it turns out. So basically, risk management is what we're going to look at. Different asset classes, and look at their risk management. Understanding these things, all of them, even before you start investing, makes a massive difference. So that if by day 7 you're now opening an account and doing your first investment, you already understand what is your own unique strategy, your own unique plan. All right. Has anyone got any final question before we draw the curtains? Okay, all right. So I'll draw the curtains here. Obviously, there's a WhatsApp group. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, let us know. We'll share the links here so that basically anyone that is not in the WhatsApp group can go straight away, join the WhatsApp group. That's where a lot of the discussion is happening, and you probably see some of my videos where I'm going for my walk. I've started getting, I don't know if it's a bad habit, but I've started learning how to talk into the camera while I'm going for walks in my area. Sometimes you just get an idea, you want to share it. So that's the WhatsApp group if you're not in there. All right, okay. You have a lovely evening, and we'll catch up again tomorrow. I'll send you another email tomorrow. Today, many people didn't do the exercise, but the vast majority of you actually did the exercise. But some people maybe are still getting into the challenge. So if there's an exercise, get into it. Don't be like that dude not doing ENT rotation or doing any rotation, and you're not sort of showing up, you're not engaging, you probably finish the rotation and you've not picked up a lot. So how challenges work is the amount of effort you put into it. If you invest into it, and then you get the best out of it as well. All right. Okay. You all have a wonderful evening, and I'm just going to end the recording here then. Okay.